1959, I think, is when tapes actually started in Canada. Remember when there was only 6 people at one time?
It was a learning time. I have very fond memories of the studio, craft commercials.
Jerry Zaludek, who kept coming in about 10 minutes beforehand and saying, you'll have to finish at 5 o'clock because otherwise we're in overtime. And I wasn't going to pay him overtime anyway, so I kept altering the clock.
It's no surprise you survived for 25 years.
A young man came over from England. He sat in my office, his name was Maurice Taylor, and he said, what looks good in the future of television? So this is the time when tape was getting started. So I said, the big thing is going to be videotape, the profit. So Maurice raised some money and went out and built the first mobile, which was then the largest production mobile in existence. And that was Taylor Television, which ultimately became VTR.
I was the first president of VTR Productions. VTR was a merger of 2 companies. One was Meridian, Nat Taylor's company, and the other was a company called York, and they were both ailing. So we decided that if we're going to have 2 ailing companies, let's just put them all together and have one great big sick one.
In 1959, Meridian Films took delivery of the first 2 videotape machines installed by an independent Canadian producer. Back in those pioneer days, tape had to be physically spliced, like film, and the editor needed a microscope, a steady hand, some silver splicing tape, and lots of luck.
You only had one chance to edit that tape, and if you blew it, that was it.
Among the staff of this pioneer production venture was Jerry Zaludek, as junior maintenance technician from Ryerson. 10 years later, he was made president of VTR. Jerry's the sole survivor of the original cast of characters, and he's seen VTR Productions and Eastern Sound grow from those early beginnings.
I believe that I was the first woman producer to produce shows out of VTR. That may be a lie, but there's one thing that is true. Jerry Zaludek has never taken me to lunch.
It was 1960 when Meridian built the first 3-camera videotape mobile. This was soon followed by the Monster from York Television, at the time the largest self-contained production mobile in existence. And when videotape went mobile, tape production entered a new dimension, freed from the restrictions of the studio. Advertisers were also quick to take advantage of videotape's new mobility, and TV commercial production hit the road.
New in splendor, distinguished by this die-cast grille that's newly detailed, newly massive. Starfire by Oldsmobile. You see it and you say, where in the world a car more new?
In the early 60s, Canadian independents, including VTR Productions, poured time, money, and creative effort into pilot productions of every kind. You remember Red Kelly's Hockey School, Christmas at the Salvation Army, the Bonnie Pruden Exercise Show, and of course, the Pierre Burton Show.
Well, we had some good times in this studio, VTR, and 1 or 2 bad times. The only bad time I can remember was the generator failed, and Xavier Cugat, bless his soul, was in the middle of an anecdote. And we waited 3 hours till it was fixed, and then he finished the anecdote, and when the tape was put together, you couldn't tell that he'd been off the screen for 3 hours.
Caruso was a great cartoonist, you know. He was as great a cartoonist as he was a singer.
I just learned that when I was reading about you today.
VTR pioneered production of English-language soap operas, in one year turning out over 250 episodes of a tearjerker called Scarlet Hill, and another entitled Moment of Truth, produced for NBC, and the first independent Canadian series sold to a U.S. network.
It went on and on, late hours. Gee, mechanical editors.
See me, didn't you? Now that you're here, why don't you come out?
1967 marked the start of color broadcasting in Canada. Soon after, Jim Henson's delightful Kermit arrived at VTR to find love and stardom in The Frog Prince.
And I'm a frog, And there are bunches and bunches of other folks.
Later came the musicians of Bremen, and today VTR and Eastern Sound provide full technical facilities for the mad, marvelous creatures of Fraggle Rock. The adoption of videotape playback by broadcasting stations brought an end to the use of 16mm film for television commercial prints, and that marked the eventual demise in 1981 of the old Marconi Kinney recorder that had, in VTR's leaner times, been its biggest single revenue producer.
Things are very different today. The new technology involved, from what the equipment was in the past to what it is today.
Congratulations, Eastern Sound. This is Ann Murray, and as most of you know, I've worked at Eastern Sound for over 10 years, and I'd like to thank everybody there for their support and help over those years, and I'd like to wish you a happy 25th anniversary.
I cried a tear, you wiped it dry.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. Crazy water, taste my fish and bone on a Monday morning. Girls' night out, everybody knows it's the girls' night out.
Hi, I'm Hal Clark. As Eastern's first president, I certainly would like to congratulate them on their 25th anniversary.
In October 1959, Robert Lawrence Productions opened a 2-track facility at 38 Yorkville. John Ross and Harold Clark named the company Eastern Sound.
We had tried to get a couple of other names through the government and they were rejected. So out of desperation, John said, let's call it Eastern Sound. It's east of the Rockies.
In 1967, construction of Studio One began at 48 Yorkville. Canadian Manoir in 1969 bought Eastern Sound and developed one of the world's first 24-track facilities. Eastern Sound has gained international recognition and has earned many gold and platinum record awards. In 1980, VTR Productions purchased Eastern Sound and together pioneered videotape lock in Canada. 5 years ago, VTR Productions led the industry in an entirely new direction when it entered the home video cassette market. The Video House was opened, offering a library of pre-recorded video cassette programs. This pioneering venture has since grown to 3 plants, occupying 40,000 square feet of space. VTR Duplication Center handles video cassette duplication, and CTA Video Distributors provides wholesale distribution of pre-recorded video cassettes. Today, under the comprehensive title of Yorkville Studio Center, VTR Productions, Eastern Sound, and CTA embrace sound stages, computerized post-production facilities, audio recording mixing studios, video cassette duplication, and distribution. Of all the technological advances, it was VTR's introduction to Canada of the Squeeze Zoom that changed the look of television in this country. Now, VTR Productions is changing the look again, as Squeeze Zoom is joined by the computer-generated ADO system, making available a 6-channel range of optical effects and image modifications never before possible. VTR Productions and Eastern Sound, 25 years from those first adventurous pioneering steps to this, the most complete audio-video facility in Canada. We invite you to join us during the next 25 as we continue to work at the forefront of videotape and audio production. Another 25 years in the making.